Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Ecoffee with Experts. I'm your host, Matt Fraser. And on today's show, I have with me Jade Arnell. Jade is the founder and marketing director of Rebellion Marketing, a full-service digital marketing agency serving B2b and B2C clients located in Fareham, Hampshire, United Kingdom. She is a member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing and has a diploma in digital marketing. As a result, she is skilled in various aspects of online marketing, such as content marketing, web analytics, marketing strategy, PPC, SEO. She has over 10 years of sales and marketing experience in the education sector, and as a result, is well-versed in what works and what doesn't work when it comes to marketing and building an audience. When not working on marketing campaigns for clients, Jade enjoys playing rugby, working out at the gym, and spending time with her husband and 3 children. Jade, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure. So, hey, Jade, what type of student were you in high school?
Not a very good one.
Neither was I, for that matter.
Yeah, I was terrible. I think you could call me the class clown. Probably is the best way to describe me.
Oh yeah.
I just messed about a lot. I just wanted to have a laugh, really, and wasn't really too fussed about doing much in the way of work. So,
Yeah, I wasn't either. Did you have a favorite subject at all?
Probably performing arts. So dance, drama,
cool.
bit of music. Yeah, I used to like doing that.
Yeah, I did that too. I directed and acted in a one-act play that I took. I think it was written by a lady who's actually from the UK. I'm almost certain she is. A place called Here We Are. But anyway,
Nice.
Yeah. Do you think your upbringing and parental influence had anything to do with your chosen career?
Oh, good question. No. Do you know what? My dad was an entrepreneur, and anyone on his family pretty much have owned their own businesses over the years. So my dad had a big glazing firm, and my auntie's got an accountancy firm. My granddad makes fire alarms. So my uncle's got a website development company. So all of them have kind of been entrepreneurs at some point. So that owning a business probably had something to do with my upbringing. But probably not specifically what I do. That was mainly because I got drunk one night and decided that it would be a good idea.
Tell me about that. That's an interesting story.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where the business came from. So I've always done sort of sales marketing type roles, but never really had that as an official job title. Always had very different job titles, things like operations, sales sometimes, that kind of stuff. But the real crux of what I did was always sales and marketing, looking to increase revenue of a business, grow it, looking at new marketing channels, new revenue streams, all of that kind of stuff. And I kind of realized after a long time of starting businesses, closing businesses, working for other people, et cetera, that the marketing aspect was the bit that I enjoyed and the bit that I was good at. So it took me quite a long time to get to that conclusion, but I did. And then one day with my business partner, who's not my business partner anymore, we were kind of just sat out one night because we were friends. She was working internally as well. I was working internally for somebody else. And we were just bitching and moaning basically about some other marketing agencies and how the service was lacking and that kind of stuff. So after quite a few vodkas, we just decided that we were going to start a marketing agency.
Wow.
And that's, the rest is history.
Wow. Well, that's very interesting. So what was it about the marketing agencies that you were pissed off about?
I think
you were
mainly
working internally for a company, and you were working internally for a company, and you had a marketing agency that was fulfilling the services. It was obviously, if you're in sales, and they're doing a crappy job, that's going to affect your bottom line, maybe even of your paycheck, But what was it that they were doing so wrong that just was the moment that you were like, heck with this, I can do better than that?
I think the biggest thing is the bullshit. Like, there's a lot of people, I think, that fall into marketing or think that they can do marketing because they think it's just coloring in or whatever. And So then they kind of take on these clients and they manage to get to a point where they've got some clients. And then when they're actually delivering, they just chat nonsense. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, we're doing
bullshit.
this because this will increase your traffic. Oh, the reason your traffic's dropping is because of X, Y, Z. And it's always crap. And you think, you realize you're talking to somebody that knows what they're talking about with marketing and you're just talking rubbish. And I think that's what used to wind me up. So I think the thing that hit the nail on the head of one of them was, you don't need to do SEO. It's a dead thing now. You don't need to do any SEO. It's like, well, how do you expect people to kind of find our site and increase web traffic if you're not working on the site and doing SEO and that kind of things? He's like, everything's about Twitter now. You just need to focus on Twitter. I was like, right, sure, okay, thanks.
My goodness, and it's so sad that people can go on ThemeForest, grab a template, get hosting for $3.95 a month, grab a logo from Graphic River, and call themselves a marketing consultant.
100%.
I was brought into the dealership as a result of this two young guys selling the owner, general manager / owner, on an SEO plan that included inflated broad match keywords that had no commercial intent whatsoever, and charged him a whack of money saying that it was going to bring in a ton of business, and it had them so fully convinced that it was going to bring in that business that's why they brought me in. And I'm looking at this going, this is just bull crap. But yet he didn't, really believe me. So like, well, I'll just go along with it. He's paying me to be here. So, but it was just amazing to see people hoodwink business owners. And it's just crazy, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of it that happens, a lot of it.
Yeah, it's sad. So what do you think are the qualities of a good marketer then? You mentioned that you realized that you were good at marketing. Sure. What do you think separates the wheat from the chaff, if you will? Like someone who someone maybe out there, most of our audience is agency owners, but maybe there's someone out there who's going to watch this and thinks, is this for me? Like, am I good? Do I think I'm good at marketing, or how can a business owner identify if someone's good at marketing or not? Or they'll just narrow it down. The qualities that you realize you had that made you realize you're good at marketing, and it's the thing for you to excel at, because you do. I know you do. I've read.
I do all right. Yeah. I think for me, SEMrush or SEMrush, however you pronounce it, they had a piece that said about T-level marketers, and actually, I think that is very true. So I quite like the T-level marketing approach. So you kind of have a really broad knowledge and understanding of every aspect of marketing, but you have a really solid kind of in-depth knowledge of one particular area. And I think that's what makes a good marketer, is not just kind of sitting there going, I can do really great graphic design and come up with great ideas, so therefore I'm a great marketer. Most of what they kind of then miss is that background understanding and knowledge of why you are taking a certain action, that strategic approach and linking everything else together. So, if you are going to write a blog piece, great, write a blog piece, but we're not just writing this blog piece for fun. What are we looking to achieve from this? So understanding SEO from that perspective is then absolutely key. Are we going to feed that into our social media? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so understanding how social media works and what's going to, garner a good level of engagement is key as well. So there's lots of kind of different areas, I think, that people should be looking at, not just going, okay, I'm great at coming up with ideas. It's like, okay, brilliant. Now you need to underpin those ideas with some real life data that shows you that idea is going to work. And then if it doesn't work, you don't just sit there and go, oh, well, never mind. You learn from why it didn't work and you try again. And data analysis, I think, is the biggest thing, like learning from the mistakes, understanding when things are going stale and when things aren't working.
Yeah. You just shared something that's so profound in the sense of knowing, number one, being a T-shaped marketer and having a broad knowledge of the different aspects of marketing, but also going really deep. I want to talk about that for a minute. And then you also talked about, I'm saying this to remind myself to talk about knowing what's going on. So is there a specific, in the T-shaped marketing philosophy of things, what's the T that is there a T that you focused on that is your area that you like the most? Is it SEO? Is it PPC? Is it content marketing? Is it?
Yeah, I think for me, it started off with social media. So when I very first started getting into marketing and kind of understanding what it was and how it works, on a real surface level, I think the social media aspect was my kind of bit that I wanted to deep dive into. So I did. And then specifically within social media, LinkedIn is kind of work a lot with B2b clients, do quite a lot of LinkedIn, and kind of got into really understanding how that works, how to make sure that you're driving engagement, and not just engagement, but how you get actual leads from that platform that turn into paying clients, right? Because that's what we all want at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody. Yeah.
Yeah,
or do we want paying clients to help? Or go ahead.
No, I was just say I started with social media. These days, I've kind of grown from that. I still do lots on LinkedIn, still kind of learn that platform, understand it, keep up to date with all the changes, etc. As much as possible. But I think for me now, for sort of lead generation style marketing, PPC, particularly Google paid ads, and SEO are the two kind of areas where I find it really focused. So I'm becoming less of a T-shaped marketer. I'm not following my own advice, am I? Like, I'm trying to now deep dive into every area.
Well, sometimes your interests change over time, I would say. Maybe, you've learned the in-depth things of social media, but now it's like the requirements change to the sense of, you got to develop this part of the T, and maybe those other things. I know I've seen that in my career. Like when I was at the dealership, I had to learn everything. I had to learn PPC. I had to learn, as the job required, I had to learn web analytics to keep my job, to prove to the sales team that what I was doing was working. And that's what I wanted to also bring up was, like, you mentioned that, like, do you think web analytics, where do you think people should start? If someone wanted to start tomorrow learning about digital marketing, do you think web analytics is a good foundation? Like, instead of learning how to drive traffic, first figure out how to understand what's going on and work backwards. Yeah,
I was going to say, I don't know how to answer that. I'd have to think about kind of where I started, where the best place to start. But I think you're probably right. I think understanding how that all hangs together, because ultimately, especially if we're talking digital marketing, which I guess in this sense we are, everything that we're doing is going to be driving traffic to that website. That's generally your end point of sale, is a website where you're going to garner conversions, whether that be phone calls, direct sales, whatever it might be. So understanding how that hangs together in the first place and how that works, and technically what you need to do to make sure you're giving yourself a good base point, is definitely where I would be looking.
Yeah, because when I was at the dealership, I had to I looked at their. I mean, I know GA4 is coming out, but Universal Analytics, I had to look at their goals. And GA4, I know. I've got someone coming on to talk about it anyway. I don't know why Google. Oh gosh, yeah. Anyway, what the heck was I saying? Oh, web analytics. I had to look at the goals, and it was mind-boggling to me how little Google Analytics was set up. It's almost as if there was one tracking code put on there. I even saw what some people would consider, even to this day, to be successful marketing agencies, I won't mention who they are, setting up a view that was just made no sense whatsoever. It was so stupid, to be quite frank with you. And they would be like me setting up a view for my company specifically for that client, like calling it my name, like my company name view. That's so dumb. It's just dumb. It's just stupid. I mean, I don't mean to insult any other agents out there that are doing that, but you don't do that. You Optimize Smart. The guy who's behind Optimize Smart had a really good article on the best views to set up and why you should use views instead of segmentation. It made so much sense. Having a target market view, a raw data view, a test view, and I needed to use that test view because I was creating filters to filter out the IP addresses of all the salespeople because they were throwing off my data. Because they're on the website all the time. Yeah. So I'm like, the heck with this. You guys are getting excluded. So I don't have to put up with this. But I put it on I didn't test it. And unfortunately it screwed up the data for a month. But anyway, that wasn't good. But the point I'm trying to make is that, it's so important to know, well, what are we trying to achieve? And I think you would agree.
Yeah,
like, what are the goals of the site? What are the events that are happening that are going to tell us what is working and what's not working? You could drive all the traffic in the world, and if you're not using proper means of tracking, whether it be phone call tracking, goals set up in Google Analytics, UTM parameters, and so on and so forth, it's all for naught.
You need to have that as a real basic level. Lots of people come to us and they're like, oh, well, we just want to, we want to use your services for social media management. Okay, great. So why? Why do you want to use us? Well, we just want to grow our social media. Okay, that's not actually enough. Like, what do you actually want to achieve? And it goes for everything. Like, as you rightly saying on your website, if you don't know what your goal is for your website, how are you going to build the best possible user journey? How are you going to guide your users to where you want them to go and what you want them to do? Like, and then when you've done that, even, how are you going to know if you've not set up it correctly in the back end to see where they're going? So then you can better serve them later on. Like, there's so much to it that I think most people just don't see, right? Or they don't get it, they don't understand it. And that's kind of, I guess, why we're here, right? To educate some people.
Yeah. That's the interesting thing about websites. Like, I had a hairstylist wanted me to build a website in the very beginning of my career. And I eventually ended up giving them their money back because they had no logo. They were running a storefront with no logo, no branding. Wow. They had no pictures, no content. Didn't want to give me any time to help develop that content. Didn't want to pay for a logo. Just like, it's like, build me something. It's like, you wouldn't go to a builder and say, build me a house, and not give them any input of, oh, do you want a bungalow, or do you want a 2-story? Do you want a split level? Do you want whatever? And then the interior designer, like, what colors do you like? What kind of furniture do you want? How big of a kitchen do you want? What's the goal? How many kids do you have? What kind of space do you need? And I just find I don't know if your experience is the same, but I just find that people think that websites are just, because you can go on Wix or Squarespace and just spit. Yeah, I know. Absolutely. And just spit out a website that, and because Netflix charges $14.99 or whatever they're charging nowadays for their darn subscription service, that websites are easy and don't require a lot of planning. Has that been your experience?
Yeah. Loads of people think that, well, it's just a website. You can just spin it up. Oh, I could just go on, as you said, I'll just go on Wix and spin one up. I'm like, okay, you can, but it's not going to achieve the goals that you're looking to achieve. Like, I think if you're a proper bona fide business that, has goals, that wants to increase profit, all of that kind of stuff, you can't be building stuff in Wix, really. And also the background. So just from an SEO perspective, trying to get a Wix site to rank is nigh on impossible. Like, it just doesn't happen. So if you want to kind of have this wider marketing strategy and grow as a business, I think you kind of need to have better systems in place that can deal with that traffic as it increases. And if it was me, and I think the biggest mistake a lot of people make is they don't invest in their marketing early on enough in their business journeys, and they wait, and then they've got a crappy Wix site, or they've got, like, I don't know, they're not doing any sort of form of digital marketing whatsoever. And then everything just tanks. So they get to a point just on their own, and then they can't go any further because they haven't got any of this stuff in place. So, and then to get it in play at that point, when you're starting from absolutely nothing, costs quite a lot of money, especially when you think, right, well, I want to need to be getting more leads in for my team. And actually, I want a really good website. And why are people coming to me? But then they're not signing up to the final product, or I've got loads of people hitting my website, but they're not buying, et cetera, et cetera. So at that point, there's a lot to unravel to kind of work out where the pain points are for the users, what the objectives really need to be, and then put everything back in place. So we get that a lot. Like, well, I can just pay, £2.50 for a Wix site, job done. And I'm like, but the problem that's going to cause you later is just like insane. So please just don't. don't do
you find you have to educate clients a lot?
Yeah. in lots of areas, which that's fine. You know, I think because unfortunately, and it does make me a little bit sad that marketing is painted as, you know, an easy job. Like, it's, you know, you can go and just post a few posts on social media, or, you know, you create a few little pretty graphics and it's all great, and you paint by numbers situation. And when I kind of get into the, you know, actually, no, that's not really kind of how it works. We build marketing strategies that align with business plans. You don't have a digital marketing strategy these days, you pretty much don't have a business plan. Most of them are based on how you want to grow that business. Like, and most of that is sales and marketing. Like, you can't grow a business without it. So when we get into that kind of thing, and then we talk about, okay, how are we going to drive traffic to the website? Oh, well, we'll just do a post on social media. I'm like, yeah, no, it's not how it works.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
And it's exactly. And, you know, it's a consistent thing. And then we go into kind of how SEO works, and that just generally blows people's minds. So yeah, there's always a massive education piece, because most people just go, oh, well, surely you just create some posts for us and then we'll get loads of business.
And then we're just going to get tons of business.
Yeah, literally. I'm like,
yeah. Well, you know, like you gotta educate them that, did you know that since Facebook went public, organic reach is down between 2 and 11%, if not lower. Like, just posting on social media. I know a guy who does pay-per-lead, and he fires up a fresh Facebook page, brands it as whatever branding for the market he's trying to target. He doesn't post one organic post.
Yeah.
He just uses the page.
Just the organic stuff.
Yeah.
Facebook is pretty dog shit, to be fair, at the moment.
Yeah, I know.
Organic growth.
Shipping and iOS 14. You know, I just did an episode with someone yesterday talking about a solution for iOS 14. I'll tell you about off camera. But anyway, so, you know, it's interesting. Like, so what do you think the aspects are for the foundation for planning out a website for clients?
Oh, wow.
I can give you for instance, like, if you want me to make it easier, like a plumber, you know, plumber comes to you, wants a website, or if you have a different idea, I just don't want to
just throw out that, like, oh, okay, right, okay, where are we? So I think, generally speaking, when we kind of take on a website build, the first thing that we always ask is what are the objectives? Why are you building the website in the first place? Because actually, do you need one? If you're if you are a plumber and you're getting all of your stuff out of the local yellow pages, probably don't have that in Canada, but anyway,
we do still, but it doesn't work.
Businesses, you know, it's all word of mouth, it's all referral, it's you on your own, you're not looking to grow your business, etc., etc. Do you need a website?
Do you even need one?
I mean, that's the first and foremost thing, right? Then when we establish that you do, most people do, to be fair, especially if they're looking for growth. Then the kind of key then is what are the objectives of this website? What do we want it to achieve? Where do we want to go with it? Is it going to be kind of direct sales? Is it like an e-commerce style site? Is it kind of driving phone calls, inquiries? Is it a more B2b market? What type of audience are we looking to attract as well? And then we normally will focus on SEO from the get-go. So, okay, great. Like, we've got what we say now. Who is it that we're going to try and attract? Who is our audience? And then we create the content and the pages structured around that audience. So that's kind of where we would go. And I think not doing that, again, makes life a lot difficult later on down the line. So, you know, if we're creating content for our SEO strategy, most of that is going back to our cornerstone service pages, because they're the ones that ultimately generally want to rank for. So building it in a way that's kind of that pyramid flow down to that kind of more, you know, easy to get traffic with the kind of more niche terms, etc. As content that backs up that cornerstone content. Great, it's nice and easy for us to do that. So focusing on the SEO is kind of a key driver, plus user journey, and also what do we want them to do when they get to the website? It's kind of ultimately where we start from.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. What part do you think, and how important do you think it is to mapping out the customer journey in regards to planning the website?
Yeah, hugely so.
Yeah.
Like,
and
I think
it's interesting. It's just, man. Yeah. Go ahead. It's just very interesting. It's a mind-boggling how interesting it is. So go ahead.
I love all of this stuff. I know it's probably geeky in it, but it is what it is.
Well, it is, but we love talking about it.
The user journey aspect, I think, I think a lot of people, and actually even some of the big brands, don't think about it enough. I think they just whack stuff up there and they're just like, oh, well, we've got a bit about us and we've got a button to buy something and we've got an inquiry form. What more do you want? And actually, when, you've got a great piece of software like Hotjar, for example, that kind of show you where those users are going, where they're interacting, all of that kind of stuff. And when you start looking at some of this, you think actually the amount of conversions that people are missing out on simply because, they've got a button in the wrong place, the contact details aren't good enough, like the path to guiding the user through, that user journey and taking them from that initial point of landing on that homepage or wherever they land through to making a purchase or an inquiry just isn't laid out. They haven't thought about kind of holding that user's hand and guiding them to where they want to go. And, most people, A, are lazy and B, are a little bit stupid. So you have to kind of tell them what you want them to do. Otherwise, they don't.
Yeah. I will agree with you.
And I'm definitely in that camp. Yeah. If I get on a website and things aren't immediately where I want them to be, I'll just go and find something else. So
yeah, you just exactly.
Yeah.
It's, and being able to use the customer journey to map out some kind of funnel.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I would equate the customer journey in the funnel to being like the blueprint for a site.
Yeah.
And how the hell are you going to build a house without a blueprint? If you don't know what your customer journey is,
exactly, and
your funnel is, and you don't know what kind of content you need to create, it's virtually it's bloody impossible.
Exactly,
it's damn near next to impossible. And it's one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons I don't specifically design websites for people anymore, but I tip my hat to those of you who still do. And kudos to you. I'll let you have all the business, but I still like talking about it, and in that regard. What about developing the unique selling proposition of what is it about your business, you as a plumber, that people should choose you over someone else? Otherwise, you might as well just go get a domain name, justanotherplumber.com.
I mean, that's not a bad shout, to be fair.
Yeah.
If there is any plumbers out there, I think justanotherplumber.com, if it's not taken, I would snap that up.
Oh, I thought it was just a stupid name, but here you go.
No, I think that would potentially work quite well. You think?
Oh, I'm looking it up right now.
See if it's got it. You're going to buy it. That's what you're going to do. That's your next venture.
My next lead generation. I'll laugh my ass off if it's taken. It's available.
Yeah, anyway. Do it. Buy it.
Yeah, I'll probably do it. I'll probably do justanotherplumber.com.
I think it would be good.
What if someone wanted to be a little more unique, though? How important do you think it is to develop a unique selling proposition for businesses?
Sure. Well, so we started out kind of, and this is like a personal journey, kind of growing the marketing agency and all of that kind of jazz. And there's lots of different opinions, I think, on USPs and creating a niche and all of that kind of jazz. And I was a little bit skeptical at first about really niching down. But actually, when we've done it for ourselves and clients, it's just insane the amount of lead generation you then get by becoming an expert in a particular field. So we did it with the education sector. That was kind of my background prior to starting the agency. So as soon as we kind of said, like, we want to specialize in the education sector, independent private schools, universities, colleges, et cetera, in the UK, it kind of, we immediately kind of grew that sector. Pretty much, within a 3 or 4 month period, we were kind of gaining lots and lots of interest from those types of clients. So I think having a niche almost then gives you your USP as well. So as a plumber, it might be slightly difficult, but you might be kind of, I don't know, specializing in, high net worth individuals, for example, and then you could brand everything up around the fact that you are kind of working for high net worth individuals. You're very safe, secure, et cetera, et cetera. And I do think there is something in that then kind of drives additional traffic and makes you know within that niche, because I think people get concerned that they'll lose clients or lose potential because of it. But actually, I found the opposite to be true. I attract the ones that we actually want, i.e. the education sector, the schools, but also around that, we still get every other type of client coming to us off the back of the content that we produce. So yeah, I haven't found personally, and for the clients that we've done it for, have always seen an increase. They've never kind of gone, oh, we've lost all our clients, or we're not getting any inquiries. It's always been the complete opposite. So
yeah, I've done a bit of studying on USPs from various different people, and one guy in a city, I don't know if he's in business anymore. I can't remember because I haven't looked for him. But he's in a different city, but he was an on-time plumber. Was the name of his business, On Time Plumbing, and he guaranteed that he would be on time, or else you got some discount off your order or whatever. Because he found that the number one problem that people had with plumbers was they weren't on time. I mean, so you're going to show up at 9 o'clock and you show up at 11. It's like that, you know. Yeah. And so he found that problem in the industry and solved it. But yeah, just having it niching down and becoming rather than a generalist as an agency, that has definitely helped you to focus on a particular niche of education and private schools to be able to grow your business. That's awesome. What part has content played? You mentioned content. What part has content played in that regard?
Oh, huge. Yeah, massively. So most of what we do is content marketing, content production. So it's played a massive part. And that is one thing where I guess people don't necessarily follow a clear enough strategy. So thinking again about the audience that you want to kind of align with, the people that you want to attract, and then producing the content that is for them. And a lot of people, I think, when they're writing kind of pieces or they're posting on social media, I think they often kind of forget about that audience and they're posting stuff that they like. So for us, it's really how we approach things because, well, first off, normally I swear like an absolute trooper. So, that is problematic when you're trying to engage with the education sector. So for us, the content we've produced has slowly become a little bit less in your face than it used to be. We used to be very kind of out there, a bit sweary, very opinionated. And whilst I am still all of those things and I still show my personality, I have toned it down slightly to match the audience that I want to attract. So it plays a huge part. I've had conversations and heard people talking about getting off the content production wheel and all of that kind of stuff, which I find a little bit frustrating because actually anything in marketing really is content production. Like you're never going to get off the wheel. Like that is it. Content is king, kind of full stop, really. So
absolutely. Yeah. No, and figuring out the type of content that you're going to create based on keyword research, and you hit something else on the head based on your target customer. And so would you agree that developing a highly detailed customer persona or even various personas is of huge importance and value?
Yeah, so we generally do big strategy pieces especially for our education clients. So part of that is kind of understanding who those people are. And I mean, you're never going to stick to it rigidly, but being able to visualize the type of person that you're talking to when you're creating content, just I think helps align that content with the reader and the user and this person that's going to be kind of taking that content, reading it, using it, whatever it might be. And I think, that a lot of people, I do say, I think it's that they're a little bit wanky, as it's a word I use quite a lot, which you probably don't use in Canada, and I won't tell you what it means.
Okay, fair enough.
So, you can Google that one later.
I will.
I do think people go, oh, yeah, you're going to do a little persona or whatever. But actually they do really help, especially when you said multiple. You can't just have one. There's never going to be one type of person that buys from you. There's always going to be, multiple people. And again, if you are going to produce them, it needs to be based on real life data, right? Which I know is hard if you're a startup business because you generally don't have any. But if you're a business that's been kind of standing for a while. Use your real data. People don't collect enough data, in my opinion, even though the world seems to think we do. Most businesses don't collect enough data, even on their own existing clients. They just don't have any. I say, okay, well, who are your clients? Have you seen any patterns in who buys from you? No. Well, do you're asking the right questions? What do you hold on those people? Oh, just their email addresses. You're like, oh, okay, great. Well,
wow.
They've got an email address. Brilliant. I can really work from that.
Yeah. So what do you think is the number one thing that is hindering businesses from collecting that kind of data?
I think they just don't think about it. I think until somebody comes along and says, your marketing's not working because you don't know who you're talking to, it's not until that point they go, oh yeah, actually, why are we not keeping that data? I think it's just an administrative type thing. It's almost like, right, you've done that bit of work with that person, next, and they don't think about the repeat business or remarketing or kind of building those customer personas or understanding their audience.
And building that list.
Yeah.
But that requires, like, for instance, I guess that's what I was getting at. Like, I worked in the car industry, and I shared that with you, and everybody who listens to this knows that. And the car industry is so blessed. I don't even know what other word to use, because in order for you to finally buy a car, number one, when you inquire about a car, you give us your name and phone number and name and email address. And if you do call, you eventually get your phone number. But to make a long story short, eventually your entire being is in that CRM, customer relationship manager. They know what your first name is, your last name, your address, your phone number, your email address. They know what you do for a living, how long you've been doing it, how old you are. If the salesperson was worth his weight in salt, they know when you got married, how many kids you have, when your anniversary is, when your birthday is, what your favorite color is, what you like to eat, whatever. I'm being facetious a little bit, but like, they know what kind of car you bought. Therefore, they know, what your needs are at that moment. You may have been 18 or 19 or 20 and bought a sedan, and now you're, 5 years later, 4 years later, you get the itch, you got married, you got kids, you want an SUV. The point I'm trying to make is that they know so much data about you because it's in the CRM, even though a lot of salespeople enter the data wrong and screw it up, because I worked in the industry. It bothered the crap out of me. But I was able to build those personas based on, this business was in business for 10 years and didn't have any personas. Even the manufacturer didn't have any personas. Blew my mind away. I was like, hey, can I save myself some time and find out who the persona is that's buying this particular vehicle? Can we ask head office? My head office outsourced all their marketing to some marketing agency that was started in 1882. And they didn't even have it. I was like, this is insane. But I think one of the main barriers to entry, correct me if I'm wrong and disagree with you, like, is people, number one, they don't think about how important it is. Number two, the accessibility of the technology. Like, for instance, I know that HubSpot has a free CRM now option, and Salesforce is a booming company, and I could go on and on and on about one of my favorite CRMs is Groundhog, started by a fellow Canadian. It's a marketing automation and CRM plugin built for WordPress that he started several years ago, and I'm going to get him on the show. But he built it because he was so tired of all the problems with all the other systems, and he was in all these Facebook groups, and he's like, heck with it. I'm going to solve the problem and create it. And he did. And it's pretty cool. But do you think that's one of the
businesses come from, isn't it?
Yeah. And do you think that's like, but knowing that they need it, and knowing, because you're right, I've talked to so many business owners in my life, in my career, that just don't have a CRM, don't.
I just don't think about it.
Yeah. And it's just amazing. And that technology that's available now, I think it's becoming more and more affordable and more accessible. There's no reason not to have it.
No, I don't know. I think maybe partially it's some fear of, well, I don't really know how to use it. We've always done things like this. So why do we need to change? And I think, I know it's always the same mantra, right? And that is true. But, we have some businesses, often recruitment companies, weirdly, we get quite a few recruitment companies that inquire with us, and then eventually like, oh, we won't bother, because everything we do is like we get lots of stuff anyway, because we've got this whole Salesforce. And I'm like, that's great. I said, but just because you're getting business now, do you want more business? Would you like that to be easier to achieve? Would you like those leads to come in that are qualified? If that is the case, then you need marketing. Like if you just want to stay exactly as you are, great, stay as you are. But if you want to build in efficiencies, have a better understanding of your audience, take the business to the next level, kind of get warm, juicy leads coming to you, as well as having to do the outbound stuff, then get your marketing sorted out. And most of the time they're like, oh, I don't know. It's like, well, you can lead a horse to water and all that, but
you can't. Yeah, you can't make him drink. Yeah, it's yeah, it's interesting. It's I hope that people watch this and realize that there are solutions out there, and the importance of doing it as a result of our discussion. Because you can even marketing automation is unbelievable, where you can apply tags and move people in and out of funnels and apply points based on their actions on the website of what they've done, and record the data of eventually going from a marketing qualified lead to a sales qualified lead. Exactly. And why wouldn't you want to shorten your sales cycle? Like,
I mean, that's it for me. Like, I don't understand. I'm exactly in that boat. It baffles me why people are like, well, we don't need to do that. It's like, but I get what you're saying. Like, stuff's coming in, or you're making sales, the business is doing well, but surely you'd want to be more efficient in the way you process things. And even if that was the one game, like, think of how much man hours, which equates to bottom line profit, that you would save by putting in the efficiency. But hey ho.
Yeah. And what about beginning with the end in mind, as Stephen Covey talked about, where when you want to exit this business,
exactly,
you go to sell this company to someone and they ask, how are you getting clients? Oh, by the seat of our pants, just by chance. Just by, we don't know. We're just doing it. It's like bullshit. Sorry, excuse my language. Bullcrap. Like, if you have a system in place, it's a proven system that, like Dan Kennedy, a magnetic marketing system. Like I'm a big believer in his kind of style of marketing. A system that actually attracts clients to you, pulls them in, converts them, turns them into customers and sales. My gosh, selling a company like that, so much easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it makes everything easier, right? It makes forecasting easier. It makes hiring easier. Like, it just makes everything so much easier, more efficient.
Everything so much easier. Yeah. So I was checking out your website. It's a pretty nice website, by the way, as far as
well, it needs some work at the moment, but it's getting there.
The part where you used you all the content on your website, and when I mean content, I mean pictures. Like, you guys, you created you used some really cool ideas, like the holding of the letters for the services and those things. And everywhere I looked, there was a unique picture that was personable to people who you could tell actually worked for you. It wasn't stock photos. And so I tip my hat to you. But the name, just the name Rebellion Marketing, I was just curious, is there a story behind that?
Kind of. So we wanted a name that kind of really, I guess, said who we were as people and what we wanted to achieve, which was shake things up, right? Tell it how it is. No bullshitting people, and all of that kind of good stuff. Come up with cool ideas, be a bit silly, be a bit different, etc. So that's kind of, we went through quite a few different ones, but we landed on that one for that says who we are and who we want to be. And mainly based on the honesty thing, which I don't think should be particularly rebellious, but there's so many people that just aren't honest in business, that just chat absolute shit. Like, why? So it shouldn't be rebellious, and it shouldn't make us, that shouldn't be our USP. But I think it is, because a lot of marketing agencies do try and pull the wool over people's eyes, do try and kind of fluff stuff up, use black hat tactics. And it's just, so that's kind of where we come from. We're rebelling against the the nonsense, basically.
The nonsense and the BS that, it's really unfortunate that our industry is tainted with bad actors,
Yeah.
In this, like, people think that, selling cars in North America is not a very honorable profession because everybody thinks that every word. I worked in the restaurant industry for a certain amount of years and I served people. And then when I went into the car industry, I just saw it as serving people, but they're very same person, yet I'm in a different profession and they automatically look at me like I'm a liar trying to rip them off. So that was the biggest hurdle that I had to try and cross. I would tell people, instead of serving pizzas, I now serve cars. So, I'll get a little laugh out of them. But anyway, I get what you're saying. Like in regards to our industry, it's unfortunate that there are bad actors that have tainted it for the rest of us and have, we all know someone who's been ripped off by an SEO company or freelancer.
Literally every client that comes to us, I think, which is a real shame.
Burned, and you have to you almost have to be part counselor, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Part therapist and helping them to get over that betrayal and earning their trust.
I think the SEO is the easiest one to fool people with because most people don't understand it. They don't really know what it entails. And a lot of people kind of make out this big load of technical, really difficult stuff that they're working on in the background. And actually that is bullshit. Like it is bullshit. Yes, there are there is technical aspects of SEO, but a huge, huge piece of it is your content production. So that is kind of where it sits, So if they're not producing decent content, that'll be my husband now.
Okay, cool. Hi, sir.
I'm just recording something, so if you could be quiet, that'd be great. Sorry, what was I saying? So your
content, the importance of content.
Yeah, and it's all about what you're kind of creating to drive that traffic to that website. That's what it's about. So if you're sitting there now as a business and you're going, my SEO company's great because they send me a report every month that tells me what they've done. Actually have a look into that and think about the results that you're looking to achieve from that. Because if that is that you want more traffic to your website in particular areas, you've got specific goals, most of the time they are not doing what they say they're going to do. They're doing. And if they're not producing any content, they're only doing like a quarter of a job of what an SEO strategy should do. So
if that.
Yeah.
Crazy. Oh gosh. Again, coming back to the car dealership, there was a company that was doing the SEO for them when I got there. And they would send him a report every month of the traffic report. Telling him that was his
what everybody
SEO.
Does. Yeah.
And they were flipping going on Fiverr. I swear they were going on Fiverr
and
hiring people to visit the website to that is not SEO. And you just said it. The foundation. And foundation of all marketing nowadays is content, period. Or it always was, whether it's an ad that was written as a commercial or an ad in a newspaper or whatever the case. It's content. And if you're doing if you're saying you're doing SEO without content, without on-page content in the form of blog posts and articles that you're creating for the customer journey that's based on your customer persona, to off-page content that's helping you to acquire links and building links. And even if you're guest posting on other sites, and I know that Orbit Media, I can't remember his name right now, Andy Crestadina, that's all he does. He doesn't even invest any money in paid advertising. He just does content.
Absolutely. It is absolutely key.
Yeah. It's a foundation.
Yeah.
Anyway, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I know we could talk for another 2 hours. We can dive into so many other things. I would love to have you back on the show. It would be an absolute pleasure to have you. But how can our audience, if they want to get in touch with you online, do so?
Sure. Well, the best place is probably on my LinkedIn account, which is Jade Arnell. So if you just search me, it might still be under my maiden name, which is Jade Scotney. But yeah, on my LinkedIn account, that's where I post most of my content. That's where I kind of talk to most of my clients. People of get in touch with us, or on the website, of course, which is rebellionmarketing.co.uk.
Fantastic. Hey, it's been a pleasure again. Thank you so much for being here.
No worries.
Right. You have a great day.